Okay, this homily is 25 pages, so strap in and get comfy. Nah, just kidding. My name is Peter. I didn't introduce myself. I'm Peter. I'm one of many who share in leadership of this congregation. I love researching and giving these talks because it allows me to go deeper and to argue with Di in public. Many of us likely have moments of enlightenment. One day we are chopping vegetables and listening to CBC radio, and all of a sudden everything becomes clear and we become one with the universe. Then we continue chopping vegetables and enlightenment fades until next time. I have told some of you that I came to Unitarianism after listening to John Ralston Saul on CBC Radio Ideas and becoming temporarily enlightened. There are three things I want to tell you today. A reminder of what the Enlightenment, capital E Enlightenment, refers to. Second, the impacts of science and humanism on the Enlightenment and the thinking of religious progressives, including Unitarians. And finally, where do modern Unitarians look for authority? The blurb said that during the Enlightenment of the 1700s, humanistic ideas emphasized reason, science, and individual rights over religious dogma. This era fostered new philosophical, social, and political ideas that shaped modern thought and promoted values such as tolerance and liberalism. When Galileo looked through his Dutch-made telescope, he could not ignore the evidence that the solar system is vast and the Earth is not at its center. While Newton was socially distanced because of an outbreak of plague, he formulated the principles of gravity and realized that objects in the world obeyed laws rather than the whims of a capricious, invisible friend. Belief in an intelligible world ordered by a Christian God became the crux of philosophical investigations of knowledge, looking for ways to sort of defeat that or get around it. On one side, religious philosophy concentrated on piety and the omniscience and ultimately mysterious nature of God. On the other hand were such ideas as deism, underpinned by the impression that the world was comprehensible by human reason and that it was governed by universal physical laws. God was imagined in the 1800s of Theodore Parker and Longfellow that we just sang. God was imagined as the great watchmaker. Experimental natural philosophers found the world to be more and more ordered, even as machines and measuring instruments became even more sophisticated and precise. Philosophers in England, France, and Germany took the scientific developments and applied them to social situations. Could each human person use reason to conduct their affairs? And if each individual could direct their own actions, could they also hold their own beliefs without a priest telling them what their beliefs should be? And then came along Immanuel Kant, who wrote that enlightenment is the release of man from a state of bondage for which he himself is responsible. In this state of bondage, he is unable to fulfill his intentions without the help of another. Humans are themselves responsible for this bondage, where the cause is not a lack of understanding, but a lack of resolution and courage. Have the courage to use your own understanding, Kant wrote. This was humanism as a new philosophy for a new age. If you want to know what a non-enlightenment country looks like, read about medieval Europe, or observe the Islamic Republic of Iran today. The Ayatollah rules by divine right. Only he has the truth. The people did not choose him as their ruler. And liberty only exists as far as the Ayatollah and his thugs want it to exist. To modern enlightened eyes, such a theocracy is irrational, disordered, and does not promote human flourishing. Are you still with me?
Yeah.
Put up your hand if you're, okay, good. Let me try to tie 18th century Enlightenment and humanism to Unitarianism. Our first two hymns this morning featured words by the Unitarian and poet Henry Longfellow, and the radical Unitarian minister Theodore Parker. Both men read German and were able to read works that we now call higher criticism, in which German Enlightenment thinkers were producing by reading the Hebrew Bible in Hebrew and the New Testament in Greek, and applying scientific and rational thought to their conclusions. By reading higher criticism and by thinking about the natural world, the early Boston Unitarians, like Longfellow, Parker, Emerson, and Thoreau, understood that the Bible was not an authority for anything, not least as an authority on the nature of God. The Unitarians valued the teachings of science and their experiences of nature and the world, and took those human, non-divine experiences as authoritative. They could not allow themselves to be convinced of miracles, so they saw the figure of Jesus as a historical man, but not divine. It is important to remember that most of the Unitarians of the 1800s were not atheists. They believed in God as divine watchmaker, who created the laws of the universe and got everything wound up. And that's all. God was not a judge, nor a friend, neither a punisher nor a rewarder. Unitarian God was simply God. Fast forward 100 years to the 1950s. Remember the 1950s? Some of you might. Yeah. The Second World War, the second war to end all wars, had ended. Nuclear bombs brought peace, which is kind of BS. Nuclear energy was going to provide limitless power, which is kind of true. Science was curing diseases and increasing crop yields. Rockets were going higher and higher. And in 1957, the godless communists launched the first satellite, named Sputnik, and caused a revolution in the education systems in the West. We no longer needed God because the godless communists had beaten us in science. We needed humanism with more science, more individualism, more democracy, and more Unitarianism. During the 1960s, Unitarians and later Unitarian-Universalists appealed to right reason, according to Reverend Dr. Philip Hewitt. Unitarians were appealing to right reason for authority. Unitarians would not accept any single book as authoritative, no single person as authoritative, and no single experience as authoritative. Instead, Unitarians in the 1960s were encouraged to learn world religions and science, and to accept their personal experiences as having meaning as well. By applying right reason, Unitarians could responsibly search for truth and meaning. I started hanging around with Unitarian Universalists during the 1990s in Ontario, in part because a quiz told me that I was a secular humanist. I had met with a secular humanist group and found them interesting but angry and dour. They don't sing, and many of them seem uninterested in my joys and concerns. A kind friend, I'm glad that one fell. A kind friend told me to check out the Unitarian Universalists, and I have never left. In my experience, Unitarianism is a mix of humanism and spirituality, with a dash of militant atheism. And by militant atheism, I mean, I know there's no God, and so do you. So far, I have talked about the Enlightenment and about humanism. In our non-dogmatic, principles-based religion today, I believe that we Unitarian Universalists are continuing that humanist enlightenment. Where do we look for authority? We look to human-created science, climate science, virus science, hybrid car battery science, and the science that makes our food cheaper, safer, and better. We look to our human experiences of the natural world, trees, tides, and orcas, of course, but also to babies, acts of kindness, and most of all, the love of a good dog. Some people have these experiences and see the hand of their benevolent God. Most humanists have these experiences and know that evolution and careful dog breeding have put us at the center for 80 or 90 of our years. Most humanists are confident that this life is not a dress rehearsal for another life in the clouds, and therefore we strive to make good this life. Unitarian humanists also look to the words of prophetic women and men, and we know that authority can come from such divine people who have reached a state of understanding or enlightenment, and whose words or music can inspire us to live better lives. Love may be at the center of your life and actions, and it is human love. In our non-dogmatic, principles-based religion, we Unitarian Universalists are continuing that humanist enlightenment. I look forward to a rousing forum on this topic after coffee. For now, I will invite you to join me in a minute of silent meditation. When the meditation time is over, Attila will noodle on our offertory music while the offering bowl comes around for your generous gifts.